What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type. And in this episode, we are heading to Universal Century 0094, 1 year after the Second Neo-Zeon War, as we cover the manga Mobile Suit Gundam Pulitzer, Amuro Ray Beyond the Aurora. In this episode, we follow Kikka Kobayashi as she sets out to write the ultimate story about Amuro Ray. In UC 0079, she was just a 4-year-old war orphan on board White Base during the 1 year war. Now she is 19 and destined to interview Amuro's greatest compatriots to find out the truth. Let's not waste any time and let's get into this. December of UC 0094, Von Braun City on the moon. Kikka is hanging out, sipping on some coffee and watching the news. The news states that Londinium is hosting a 2-year anniversary memorial for those lost during the Second Neo-Zeon War. They mention that one of the people lost during this war was Lieutenant Colonel Amuro Ray. This rank was given to him posthumously. Kikka wonders why they call him a hero. She heads out to the Von Braun Times publishing office. The publisher is impressed with her resume. She wants funding to write her book about Amuro Ray. But there have been so many books written about the subject in the past 2 years. She wants to take it in another direction as a former member of White Base. The publisher doesn't like this Amuro isn't a hero angle she is trying to take. But he says that he could sell a book about a former White Base member. They could sell the story from her perspective. It isn't what she really wants to write, but she plays ball knowing she will be heavily editorialized. She must also finish the book before she graduates, so she must hurry. She takes a flight back to Japan. While on the flight, she reflects on Amuro. She makes it back to Shizuoka, where she heads home. She meets with Let's and her sister, unnamed Kobayashi child. Wait, really? Even in this manga, they aren't going to give me a name for this girl? I get it in Zeta when this kid was still in Frau Bo's womb. But this kid is what, 6 now? Someone name this child, please. They hang out under the kotatsu, which is that table with the blanket and the heater built into it. God, I want one of those things. Let's wonders how school is going. She doesn't seem to have anything in common with the Lunarians. She tells Let's about her winning the Mount Fuji Newcomer of the Year award. She wonders where their mother is. Frau Bo is on the phone. She apologizes to the person for not being able to make it out to Side 1. They wonder who she was talking to. Frau was invited by EFF to join the memorial service for their fallen soldiers, but she declined their offer. They wanted her to give a speech about fallen heroes as she has lost a husband and a son to war, but it doesn't sit right with her. Also, she doesn't feel that Amuro is truly gone. Frau genuinely doesn't remember Amuro as a soldier. To her, he was always that lazy boy from their neighborhood. He was dirty and he always forgot to eat, though he loved to tinker just like his father. Kikka mentions that they miss Hado. Hado was a product of Amuro's ingenuity, and the unnamed child is holding a commercial robot, suggesting that this new toy is the evolution of Hado, and it is all thanks to Amuro. Frau says that if Side 7 was never attacked that day, Amuro most likely would never have become a soldier. Kikka realizes that no one in the world sees Amuro the way Frau sees Amuro, but she wants the world to see him for who he really was. Someone who was just trying to protect White Base and the people that he cared about. Kikka is determined to tell the truth so the people can see it through their eyes. She wants to do this not for herself, but for cats who looked up to Amuro. A few days go by as the Kobayashis enjoy the holidays. Kikka then approaches her mother and lets her know that she plans on writing a biography on Amuro. It will be her way of saying goodbye. Frau knew that this day would come, and so too did Hayato. She pulls out a letter from her father and gives it to Kikka. She opens it and finds a card, Kai Shiden's card. This is where she needs to start her investigation. There is a letter from Hayato to go along with the card. He wrote this letter before heading to Hickory. Hayato tells her about how he was seen as a hero after the 1 year war, how he was made captain, something that is usually given to people who make the military a career. He was happy to be given the opportunity to meet Kikka, and they all became a family. EFF treated everyone who was on that ship as special, but they all knew that it was Amuro who was the special one. They all head to Hayato Kobayashi's grave, but Kikka is still reading on. Being on White Base, Hayato knows that Kikka will one day want to do something big. She reminds him of a day back in Jaburo in UC 0079, where the children saved the day by finding the bombs planted by Zeon. But even with their help, it was still Amuro's quick thinking that saved the day. He tells Kikka to not be afraid of asking for help. That is why he is giving her Kai's contact info. She contacts Kai and remembers the kind of guy that he was back during the 1 Year War. An asshole. She remembers an asshole. She ends up passing out. When she wakes up, she has a response by him. The email says, "Consider this a Christmas gift." There is an attachment. It contains an Excel document containing contact information of every crew member of White Base and Kuraba, along with EFF personnel. She now has everything she needs to start her investigation. Kikka heads out to Lhasa, Tibet. The place is a giant crater after Shar dropped 5th Luna on the former EFF headquarters. She enters the hangar to find stripped-down GM2s being used as mobile workers. One pilot gets out of the GM to meet with Kikka. It happens to be Jabjan. Although not as prevalent in OG Gundam, Jabjan did serve a pivotal role on White Base. They go to a break room and have a chat. She wants to know his personal thoughts on Amuro. He says that he wouldn't be lying if he didn't think about turning her down because he genuinely doesn't know what to say about him. To him, they are all just cadets that were thrusted into an insane situation, but he certainly knows that they wouldn't be alive without Amuro. Jabjan and Ryu were cadets on board White Base before all the civilians and Amuro came on board. He too was jealous that a civilian just came in and took control of the Gundam. She wonders if he truly was that good. He says that everyone tries to use their potential to their best, but what really helped White Base crew survive was not that Amuro was a great pilot. It was that people like Ryu, Jose, and Bright knew how to utilize Amuro to his fullest potential. He attributes his survival to those two specifically. Ryu was the first to understand Amuro's talent, and Bright built his tactics around that trust. He reminds Kikka of the time when Kai and the team wanted to abandon the ship because of the special treatment given to Amuro. It was Ryu that brought them back. Jabjan was also the one who traded places with Ryu, who went on to commit suicide, saving Amuro and White Base from Hammond Crowley. This seems to be eating Jabjan up emotionally. After the 1 Year War, he couldn't bring himself to do anything, and now he is barely making ends meet working as a mobile worker pilot. He didn't continue fighting. Kikka sees this as greatly tormenting Jabjan. He tells Kikka to live with absolutely no regrets. Aw, poor Jabjan. He has nothing more to say and wants to get back to work. But Kikka jumps up and yells at a man across from the break room. She says that he looks like Omer Fang. Omer says that Kikka must be a new type if she was able to notice him. Apparently, he was talking to Kai and heard about Kikka's visit to Job. He thought Omer is still in the military, but he says he is retired. He wanted to join Kuraba after the 1 Year War, but ended up joining SNRI, or the Strategic and Tactical Research Institute. SNRI is EFF's military research organization created in UC 0093. EFF became tired of dealing with outsourcing to contractors like Anaheim Electronics, who supplied both Londo Bell and Neo Zeon during the Second Neo Zeon War. The SNRI will be the solution to this. Remember this name, as they will go on to help design the ultra-compact fusion reactor and create the Formula project that will play a big role during Mobile Suit Gundam F91, but will be seen rolled out as early as UC 0096. Omer overheard their conversation about how Job believes that Ryu and Bright were the key to Amuro's success, but Omer tells them not to count out the maintenance team. With the technologies that led to Operation V, it gave Amuro a technological superiority. But he explains how Amuro always talked to the technicians on board White Base. He would tell them every minute detail that would allow them to add it to the simulator data, and thus make them better pilots in the end. He ended up designing his own simulator that ended up being the best there was. Omer recounts a time when they had a Zaku. Amuro wanted to test the thruster output so they could add this data to the simulator. It certainly was the people around him that chose to listen to his ideas and criticisms. He tells Job that he also respects him and that he is a great man, regardless of whether Jabjan thinks that of himself. Omer tells him that they are building a SNRI branch on Side 4, and he wants him to help build the next generation of great machines. The problem is that Jobjon lacks passion. If he is willing to exude just the slightest amount of passion, he can do great things. He pats Jobjon on the back and takes off. Kikka is starting to realize that it takes a bunch of people to bring out an individual's talent, and Amuro was lucky that the people around him understood his talents. She is still not painting a full picture, however. She suddenly gets a message from Kai. The message says, "I found Kamaria. Please contact me as soon as possible." She has another lead. And that will do it for this episode. Through the eyes of Kikka, we are seeing that Amuro certainly isn't the Ubermensch that the world claims him to be. Also, the 1 year war happened so fast in the eyes of the White Base crew that none of them truly got a chance to stop and reflect on what was happening. This gives us an opportunity to return to some 1 year war characters and understand where they are truly coming from. Next time, Kikka will visit Kamaria, Amuro's mother, and she will also interview someone who interviewed Amuro. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember that no one man can win a war. Peace.